Welcome back, everyone. Today we're doing a deep dive into a story that's causing a lot of buzz right now. Elon Musk jumping into German politics.
And it's not just a casual dip in the pool.
Definitely not.
He dove right in, head first.
He jumped right in the deep end. We have some articles here detailing how he endorsed a specific political party, even took some shots at top German politicians.
Yeah. You know, this situation really touches on a lot of major things we're seeing in the world right now, like the growing power of these tech giants.
Yeah.
And the lines between countries are getting blurry, you know? And of course, the never-ending debate about free speech, it's all right there in this story.
It really is. It's not just some theoretical discussion either. This has real-world implications. We're talking about Elon Musk, the head of Tesla and SpaceX, publicly supporting the AfD party in Germany.
Right. The AfD, if you aren't familiar with them, is a right-wing party that's been gaining ground lately. They've been, well, sparking a lot of controversy.
Yeah, especially with their stance on immigration and national identity.
Exactly. And Musk didn't just stop at an endorsement. He took it a step further.
He did.
Directly criticizing German Chancellor Olaf Scholz, even using the term fool to describe him. And he also went after the German president Frank-Walter Steinmeier, labeling him an anti-democratic tyrant.
Yeah, that's pretty harsh language. Not exactly diplomatic. I'm wondering, what's your take on why he chose to use such strong terms?
It's hard to say for sure
what
was going through his mind. But Musk has never been one to avoid a little controversy, has he?
No,
I mean, he's known for speaking his mind, and he's always willing to shake things up. In this case, it seems like his comments are coming from his strong feelings about immigration. He's been pretty vocal about criticizing Germany's approach to immigration, especially their open door policy during that big refugee crisis back in 2015.
Right.
You know, that whole thing.
And that's where that phrase suicidal empathy comes in, right? He used that term to describe what he sees as Germany being too compassionate about immigration, saying it could actually hurt the country in the long run.
Exactly. Suicidal empathy. It's a loaded term, that's for sure. It gets thrown around a lot in these immigration debates, not just in Germany, but everywhere. It's a way of framing the argument that being too open to immigrants could actually be bad for a country.
Yeah.
Like it could hurt their economy, cause social problems, or even make them lose their national identity.
It's definitely a complicated and sensitive issue. And it's tied up with all these questions about national sovereignty and cultural identity and economic security.
Absolutely.
Musk's comments, whether you agree with them or not, have definitely stirred things up. And they've got people talking about whether powerful people like him should be weighing in on global politics.
Yeah, you know, this whole thing really shows how complicated things are in a world where everyone's so connected. On the one hand, we have this principle of free speech.
Right.
The right to say what you think, even if it's controversial. But then there's the other side of the coin.
Yeah.
We have to think about what might happen because of those opinions.
Yeah.
Especially when they come from people with a huge platform and tons of followers.
It's tough to find that balance.
Right.
We want to protect free speech, but we don't want to just let hate speech or dangerous rhetoric run wild, stuff that could lead to violence or harm. And then there's this question. Is it right for a foreign business leader like Musk to get so involved in another country's politics?
Exactly. And that's something people are debating right now.
Oh, I'm sure.
Not just in Germany, but all over the world. Some say that Musk, because he's so influential and has this huge platform, should be more careful with what he says,
Why?
Knowing that his words could have big consequences.
Absolutely.
Others say he has the right to speak his mind, no matter where he's from or what business he's in.
Yeah. This is definitely a conversation that's going to keep going. We'll be keeping a close eye on it. If you're finding this as interesting as we are, don't forget to like this episode and subscribe to our channel. We dig into all sorts of fascinating stories, and we'd love to hear your thoughts on this too, so leave a comment and let us know what you think.
Yeah. What do you make of all of this?
Exactly.
It's clear that Musk's words haven't gone unnoticed in Germany. German politicians haven't held back. They've called his actions undignified and problematic. Some are even saying he needs to butt out of German politics. And what's interesting is that the pushback isn't just coming from people who disagree with Musk's politics.
Right. Even people who agree with his stance on immigration are kind of worried about how he's going about it.
Exactly.
They're worried that his strong words could backfire.
Yeah.
Potentially pushing away people who might agree with him and making the whole debate even more divided.
That's a good point. And then there's a question of what happens in the long term because of what Musk has done. Could his endorsement actually make the AfD more popular? Could his criticism of German leaders hurt the relationship between Germany and the U.S.?
Especially since he's such a big player in American business and technology.
Right. These are big questions.
They are.
And we don't have all the answers yet. But they're definitely worth thinking about as we try to understand how powerful people like Elon Musk are changing things on a global scale.
And, it's not just about Elon Musk or even Germany. This story is part of a bigger trend we're seeing around the world. Business, politics, and technology are all getting mixed up.
Yeah, you're right.
It's happening more and more. We're seeing business leaders and tech moguls and social media stars using their platforms to talk about politics, and it's having a real impact. And that brings up important questions about responsibility, transparency, and whether these people have too much power. Should there be limits on how much they can shape what people think and maybe even influence elections? These are questions we all need to grapple with as we figure out what the 21st century is all about.
It's a lot to think about, and we've only just scratched the surface here. But before we get too deep into that, let's shift gears a bit. There's another interesting angle to this story, the reaction from the United States. Believe it or not, even the U.S. Vice President-elect, J.D. Vance, has weighed in on this whole Musk-Germany thing.
Wait, really? Now that's interesting. I definitely want to hear more about what Vance had to say. But before we get into that, let's take a quick second to encourage all of you listening to join the conversation. We love hearing your thoughts and perspectives, so hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and leave a comment with your take on this whole situation.
Yeah, we really do want to hear what you think.
We do.
Your engagement helps us reach more people and keep these important conversations going. And speaking of reaching more people, if you like what we do here on the Deep Dive and you appreciate the effort we put into these analyses, consider supporting our Standing in the Gaps podcast GoFundMe campaign.
Your contributions help us improve our production quality. Things like better webcams, studio mics, and editing computers. It all helps us make even better content for you. Every little bit counts, and we really appreciate your support. Now back to J.D. Vance and his take on this whole Musk-Germany situation. What did he have to say about all of this?
Well, Vance's response was, kind of interesting. He didn't exactly come out and endorse any specific party in the German election, but he did say he thought Musk's article was interesting.
So he's being a bit careful there. Not really siding with Musk, but not condemning him either.
Right. It's a pretty calculated response, especially for the U.S. Vice President-elect.
Yeah.
He's got to be thinking about how his words could affect the relationship between the U.S. and Germany.
For sure. And speaking of impact, I thought Vance's comment about regional support for the AfD was pretty fascinating.
Yeah.
Even if it was a bit, provocative. He said that areas in Germany where the AfD is strong were also areas that historically resisted the Nazi Party.
Yeah, that comment definitely adds another wrinkle to this whole thing. It brings in this historical angle and makes you wonder, what's he getting at with that comparison?
I know, right?
Is he trying to say that supporting the AfD is somehow like being against the Nazis? Or is he just pointing out that different parts of Germany have different political views?
I'm not really sure what to make of it, to be honest. It feels a bit like he's stepping into some pretty sensitive territory.
Yeah.
Especially with Germany's history being such a touchy subject.
Yeah.
But it does make you think about what's really going on beneath the surface.
Absolutely. And it shows how important it is to be careful about the information we're taking in, especially when it comes to these politically charged topics. We need to be aware that the people shaping the narrative might have their own biases and agendas.
You're right. We can't just believe everything we hear or read, even if it comes from someone who seems like they know what they're talking about. We have to be willing to question things. Dig a little deeper. Consider different viewpoints.
Exactly. It's also important to remember that this whole story is still developing.
Right.
We don't know what the long-term effects of Musk's actions will be. Will his endorsement actually help the AfD gain more power in German politics? Will his criticism of German leaders damage the relationship between Germany and the U.S.?
And what about Musk's own image and reputation, both in the U.S. and internationally?
Good question. There are still a lot of unanswered questions here.
Yeah, a lot of unknowns.
It's kind of like watching a political thriller play out in real life.
It really is. And for those of you who are as hooked on this story as we are, we'd love for you to join the conversation. Hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, leave us a comment with your thoughts.
Yeah, what are you thinking as we go through all this? And for those of you who want to support what we do here at the Deep Dive, bringing you these insightful analyses, think about contributing to our Standing in the Gaps podcast GoFundMe campaign.
Your donations really help us improve our production, like getting better equipment, reaching more people, and just making the show even better for you.
Exactly. So now let's step back and look at the bigger picture of this whole Musk-Germany situation.
Okay, so we've talked about Musk's reasons for doing this, the reactions from Germany and the U.S., and what might happen because of it. But I think there's a bigger question here, something that goes beyond this one incident.
Yeah, you're right. What we're really seeing here is this fundamental question about the role of wealth and influence in the 21st century. Are we in a time when billionaires like Elon Musk can basically wield political power around the world just because they have so much money and attention?
It's kind of a scary thought when you think about it.
Right.
I mean, Musk is an incredibly smart entrepreneur and innovator. There's no doubt about that. But does that mean he has the right to insert himself into the political affairs of another country?
Right.
And what kind of example does this set for other billionaires who might want to do the same thing?
These are questions we all need to be thinking about.
Yeah.
We need to have a serious conversation about the limits of power and influence,
Absolutely.
especially in this age of social media where everything is so interconnected.
And we need to be aware of what could happen if we let individuals, no matter how rich or influential they are, act without any accountability or respect for international diplomacy.
You're absolutely right. This isn't just about Elon Musk. This is about the future of how we govern the world, the balance of power, and how technology is shaping politics. These are complicated and challenging issues, and there are no easy answers.
But that's exactly why it's so important to have these conversations, to really think things through, and to challenge ourselves to look at the world around us with a critical eye.
That's what we're all about here at the Deep Dive.
We are.
We want to bring you these fascinating stories, explore the complexities, and encourage you to really think about the things that matter.
We believe that knowledge is power, and we want to empower our listeners to be informed and engaged citizens. So if you're enjoying our content, please consider supporting our mission. Hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and leave us a comment with your thoughts.
Yeah, we really value your input.
We do.
And if you're feeling extra generous, check out our Standing the Gaps podcast GoFundMe campaign. Your donations help us get better equipment, reach a wider audience, and just keep bringing you the high-quality deep dives you've come to expect from us.
We're so grateful for your support, and we're really excited to keep exploring and discovering with you. Now, before we wrap up this episode, there's one more crucial aspect of this Musk-Germany saga that we need to address. So we've talked about what Musk did, how people reacted, the political backdrop, but what about the big question at the heart of it all? Does Elon Musk, with all his money and influence, have the right to comment on other countries' politics? Or should he just stick to tech and business?
That's the big question, isn't it? It's like this clash between free speech and respecting other countries. On the one hand, Musk's a global citizen, right? He might feel he can speak up about anything affecting humanity, no matter where it is.
Yeah.
But then some might see him getting involved as not really his place. Maybe even risky, given how powerful he is.
It's a tough one to figure out.
Mm-hmm.
Where's the line between just expressing an opinion and meddling in another country's democracy? It gets even trickier when you think about Musk's huge platform and how his words can really sway people.
And this isn't just about Musk. This situation makes us think about the role of anyone who's influential in global politics. Do billionaires, celebrities, even big social media influencers have a different responsibility when they talk about politics? What they say can have a huge impact worldwide, so where does free speech stop and meddling begin?
It's something we all need to think about, not just those with millions of followers. In our world today, even our everyday conversations can have ripple effects, especially online. So what's the main takeaway for our listeners? How can they make sense of all of this?
I think the biggest thing is critical thinking. We can't just believe everything we hear or read, even if it comes from someone like Elon Musk. We have to question things, consider different viewpoints, and ultimately form our own informed opinions.
And be aware of the power of our own voices. Whether we have a big platform or just a small circle of friends, what we say and do matters. We have to engage in thoughtful discussions, be open to different perspectives, and help create a more informed and balanced public conversation.
Well put. We live in a world that's really complex, where technology, politics, and international relations are all intertwined. There aren't any easy answers, but by having these conversations, by being willing to challenge our own biases, we can navigate this complexity and hopefully make things better.
This deep dive has been quite a ride. We've explored the reasons, the reactions, the possible outcomes, and the bigger questions around Elon Musk and German politics. We hope you found it as thought-provoking as we have.
We always appreciate hearing your thoughts, so please leave a comment and let us know what you think about this whole situation. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more deep dives.
And a huge thank you to everyone who supports us through our Standing in the Gaps podcast GoFundMe campaign. Your contributions help us improve our equipment and reach a wider audience so these conversations can continue.
Thank you for joining us on this journey. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep the conversation going.